Good evening and welcome to the Fetish Files hosted by the CamGirlRealWorld. We are here tonight for a very special purpose. It is with our sad regrets that we have to inform you guys, if you are not aware, that Kink Live is going the way of the dodo. We were informed just yesterday, August 26th, that Kink Live will be officially moving over to flirtforfree.com. We received a pretty standard email outlining, the fact that they'll be becoming one. Basically, Kink Live is going to become a white label. If you're not sure what a white label is, it basically means they're going to slap a Kink Live logo over Flirt for Free. They've assured us that they are going to place us Kink Live models at the top of their list, but the saddest part of it is they are actually cutting our percentage, which if you're not a cam girl, that's kind of a big deal to us. We were promised 60% being grandfathered in. Those that were not grandfathered, I think they started at about 35 or 40%. We'll go over that a little bit later. Everybody was promised a certain percentage, and that's pretty much going away, and it's really upsetting, and they're basically telling us not to ask them any questions about it. So we're going to actually start tonight. We've got the wonderful Lacey West, a special guest tonight with us. She's very popular cam girl. She was previously on My Free Cams, and she moved over to Kink Live. We also have the wonderful and delightful Shay BBW, and myself, Geisha Monroe. We're going to talk to you guys tonight about Kink Live for our first edition of the Fetish Files. So, ladies, I want to start with the past. The good old days. The days when Kink Live was something to feel good about and just, love. I'm going to start with you, Lacey. What do you miss about the good old days of Kink Live?
I feel like after they realized that they were going to sell the website, that they really stopped updating and they stopped promoting Kink Live as a whole. So what happened when I first started on the website over a year ago, there were tons of people coming into my room. It was a high traffic website. Kink Help was incredibly helpful with anything that I needed assistance with, and the website functioned smoothly. Like they really cared about helping the models make the money that they needed to keep the website running. Whereas now it feels really lackluster. Any problems that there are with the website aren't being addressed. I remember 2 days ago, I updated a profile photo and I had to get in touch with Kink Help because my picture was literally just black. It was the black screen on the front page.
It's so good.
Yeah, and I was not getting any people into my room because obviously no one could see what I looked like, and I'm very beautiful.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
So it was really difficult. It's not cool that those sorts of things are happening. All of my clients have been complaining that they have to re-enter their credit card information over and over and over again. And it's just, any of the complaints that are being voiced by myself or by my clients, they're not being heard anymore. Whereas when the site first went up, or when I was first camming on the site, I fell in love with the site because they were so helpful with the models, and a ton of other sites, they don't pay attention to any problems that you want to voice.
It definitely seemed like in the beginning there was a sincere amount of human contact and the ability to ask a real human being, what is going on? What is the issue? Let me contact customer service. They're going to help you out right now. And there's not that anymore. Shay, I know you haven't cammed on Kink in a while, as I have not either, but what do you remember being like the best thing about Kink when you first started?
I really liked the people. I love that the people are there specifically for fetishes, and I love to cater to fetishes. I loved the conversations and everything like that. I did really like that you could call someone to help you if you had a question or whatnot. The last time that I cammed on Kink, and a big reason why I quit, was I actually waited 3 hours one night calling for an attendant. It got to the point where I didn't even have a Kink Help person in my room. So that really bothered me, but just waiting all of that time for someone to show up and nobody was showing up.
Yeah, you know what? I had that problem today. I did. I was on camera today. I called for a CSR. Nobody came.
That's a major issue. I mean, right now, I haven't personally cammed on Kink in about a month, and what really turned me off is the fact that I was on cam. I had a decent amount of people in my room. There were people talking. I wasn't really making any money, but there was another girl on camera, and just out of sheer boredom, because there's not that many girls on Kink Live in general, and I feel like that's kind of the upside to it, is that you want a fetish, you can find the girl that can do your fetish, but there was a girl who was literally breaking every rule of the terms of service of the website, talking about how she was going to do blood play, how she wanted to stick a wine bottle up her ass and shatter it up her ass. She was literally drinking on camera, which some websites, it's totally fine. And I'm cool if that's within your TOS parameters, but it's implicitly against the TOS of Kink Live. You cannot drink. And she was drinking out of a flask, drinking out of a wine bottle. She was drinking out of anything she could find and just being belligerent with how much she didn't give a fuck about the kink help people. It literally, like, sickened me how gross she was being about, like, what she wanted to do, that I was just like, I don't know if I want to be here anymore, because this is not representative of how I feel about Kink Live. I don't want to be very specific about, like, her background, because it was very much the shit she had on her wall. If I told you what she had on her wall, you would know who the fuck she was. But it was very, like, hello, this is my room. And you went in there and it was like, holy fuck, what's going on in here? Why is this occurring? Why are you being so aggressive? Why are you encouraging people to abuse you? It was much more 50 Shades of Grey and very much less what actual BDSM is about. It really grossed me out. And I had people from Chatterbait who were there that were like, they actually were the ones who were like, have you seen this girl? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, come look. And I'm like, why are you showing me this right now? This is absolutely ridiculous. And I kind of didn't know, like, where to go from there. I was like, well, I can't compete with the crazy girl who's going to stick a wine bottle up her ass and shatter it. So I think I'm going to go away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's get to present, because I know, Lacey, you're the only one who's really current on kink.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the present standing of Kink Live?
I can honestly say that I've never been so disappointed in a webcam site that promised me so much. You know, when we were going into it, I was offered 60%. And they said that rate would never change. And the email that we got pretty much stated that we will be getting 30%. And with the Kink Live affiliates program, we'll be getting an extra 20%. And for those of you that don't know what affiliates mean, that means that we have to get the members that are already watching us on Kink Live to sign up through our affiliates address. And if they spend money, then we get a percentage of that. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that we would have to take such a pay cut.
And it's not as easy as you think to get people to sign up through your link when maybe they're just, like, clicking around and shit. Maybe they found you. It's like they don't know where to click.
The other thing, too, with Kink Live, it's a community. And I actually had a conversation with another model this evening. How are our members who regular different girls' rooms supposed to choose which girl they're giving that 20% to? I have so many members that I share with so many other models who are my friends. And that is part of the reason why I love this website and continued with it up until even after they said, because a month and a half ago, they said that they were going to be switching over to StreamMate and we would only be getting 30%. And there was a huge uproar with the models, a ton of models left. It was a really big deal. And I stuck it out because I would much rather work at Kink Live. Even though the website has problems, I would work there with a faulty website for the rest of my camming career rather than work on another website where I feel uncomfortable, I feel pressured, and where there isn't that friendship, where there isn't that family, where there isn't that sense of community. And I kind of feel like with just giving us 10 days notice that the website's going to be changing over to a website that I've never personally heard of. I've been a part of the camming community for the last 5 years, and this has been my main source of income for the last 5 years, and I chose Kink Live over any other website to work for. So them doing that it's really upsetting to think that they don't really cherish us as family members.
And it's confusing to me as why it's okay for them to send out an original message, basically say, send your questions to this email address. We'll address them later, a month and a half ago, and then kind of drag their feet, not give us any information. And then all of a sudden it's, oh, you have 10 days.
Yeah, no, that's completely unfair.
Well, and it's like they've been doing this. I mean, literally, I remember when they told us we're moving over to StreamMate, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make an account on StreamMate. And I tried StreamMate, and I was like, holy shit, this website is not for me. But I was trying to really embrace, like, yes, we're still going to have the kink family, whatever, but it wasn't working. And they told us it was literally going to be less than a month. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to fucking embrace this. I'm going to get into it. And it wasn't working then. And so for me, it's like, well, how is this working now that you're still just giving us this short period of time to figure out this other website? And it's still very awkward and weird. And, you know, like none of us, like a lot of us haven't heard of this website. And it was so funny for me today. I went to make an account on Flirt for Free. That's apparently, you guys, where Kink Live is going is flirtforfree.com. So you can find us there showing our vaginas unless we decide not to go there. But I tried to make an account there, and apparently, according to their website, I had attempted to make an account in 2009, which I don't recall because I was not an active Camgirl then. So it's really weird to think that I had tried to make an account there. The one thing I will say in Flirt for Free's, not defense, I don't know, at least I got a phone call from a human being today. So that's cool.
Well, you did.
I got a real phone call from a human being going, hi, apparently you have a really common name or something and yada, yada, yada. And they were like, now try to reapply. So that was kind of nice. What do you guys really think the future of kink is? But beyond the fact that it's going to turn itself into a white label, like, what do you think of Flirt for Free? I mean, with the little snippet of we've got from the email, I tried to actually join, but
I feel like the reason why Kink Live is so successful is because it panders to people that have specific fetishes. And you're able to find those fetishes incredibly easily because there's a small selection of models. There's usually no more than 27 girls online. If you go through all of those chat rooms and say, hey, I really want somebody to slap themselves in the face with a fish, one of the girls will do it. One of the girls will slap themselves in the face with a fish. Someone will have some fish. They will slap themselves in the face for you, and whatever else it is that you fancy. Whereas I think that the Flirt for Free website, the research that I've done, I think they have 19 different denominations, and they're all incredibly vanilla. And all of that fetish stuff goes under one category, fetish. That's it. It goes under fetish. You can find redheads, you can find brunettes. They don't have any categories for BBWs or SSBBWs, or, they have big tits, big ass, redhead, brunette, blonde. And I feel like the future of kink is that you're not going to be able to find the model that you're looking for in the first place. And the other thing is, too, with Flirt for Free, they originally started out as a website that broadcasted porn stars. So you go there and you pay a little bit extra, but the girls that you get are phenomenally more beautiful, or that's what I read in the articles, at least, that I did with my research. Speaking personally, I think that I'm a relatively attractive girl, but I'm not a fucking porn star. And I know that a lot of the girls that work on Kink Live are not fucking porn stars. We fall under special denominations of alternative, BBW, curvy, tattooed, pierced, colorful hair, all of that sort of stuff. That's what Kink Live is all about. And I feel like there's not going to be a place for us on a website that predominantly promotes that image of, having blonde hair and big tits. And there's nothing wrong with having blonde hair and big tits, but that's just not what the fetish community is all about. And you know what? If you're in the fetish community, if you've got blonde hair and big tits, fucking awesome. You can rock at this. But for those of us that fall under different classifications, and for our clients that are looking for that different classification, they're not going to be able to find us anymore. So I'm really concerned that we're just not going to be in contact with the right people. That's my main concern, that we're not going to be promoted the way that we are on Kink Live,
So would you say that the increase in traffic it's not going to be...
No, it's not. They're promising us, 3 million users, and that's awesome. 3 million users a day. That's cool. But when, say 25% of that are clicking on the top 5 models on the front page of their website, not specifically looking for something that's fetish oriented, 3 million users, what does that matter? That's 1,000 more anonymous users that aren't paying me in my room for me to try and find that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 meaningful connections with my large clientele, because large clientele come and go. That's one thing that I've learned in the industry. You'll have people that come in and they pay lots of money and they get girlfriends or they get families and they move on with their lives. And I say, you know what? Fuck yeah, guys, do it. Move on with your lives. But you have to have that connection with your next big client if you want to make it in this industry. And they're not going to be able to find us.
I also think that we're probably going to end up getting a whole lot more trolls. I'm not saying that there weren't trolls on Kink Live, but if you went to Kink Live, you knew what you were looking for. You knew you were going to find people that most of the regular vanilla world, is not going to go to Kink Live to find models. They're going to go to My Free Cams or Chatterbait or StreamMate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now that we're on this Flirt for Free, we're going to get a whole lot more trolls like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I think it's going to be a much bigger headache for us, because I know personally, anytime I go to do kinky shows on Chatterbait, my numbers go way down and I get a whole bunch of assholes. And I wonder if that is going to be the same way on Flirt for Free.
Yeah. You know what? I actually also noticed that on My Free Cams as well. Any other website that I've worked on, I tried Chatterbait for a few weeks and I failed spectacularly because my main prerogative is spankings, tying myself up with rope, and I'm a pain slut. So that's like my official denomination. People beat the crap out of me and I'm really happy when they beat the crap out of me. People see that on websites like My Free Cams. They see that on websites like Chatterbait. They don't understand. They do not understand, and they take that as an opportunity to see you as some sort of sideshow and make fun of you. And especially, they've attacked me from all angles. So I'm really not looking forward to working on a website where your physical appearance is the predominant factor and your brain and your skill as a fetish artist, I guess you could say, like really colorfully, is not appreciated. Your skill as a submissive or your skill as a dominant. They're not looking for that. Whereas what you're looking for on Kink Live. And it's really sad to see it go that way.
And that's one thing that I've found to be very true on, my main website is Chatterbait, and it's, I have a wall of paddles, and people will maybe twice a month be like, oh, you have paddles. And it's like, yeah. And it's like, I charge this much for Spanx, and they're like, bye.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like, that's actually cheaper than the website I actually do fetish on. So that's interesting of you. Turn your nose up at my price. Like, it's, the fetish community, when they know that they're actually in a safe place, which Kink Live really was a safe place for people who enjoyed cams that were kink related. They were so open and so willing and so understanding of the pricing involved in it because it's actually something that they really enjoy. But when you take it to a more vanilla realm, they're not so appreciative of your pricing. Even if you're lowering it, they're still very much like, oh, well, I know a girl that will spank herself for $1. And it's like, well, that's bullshit, and fuck you, because that girl isn't actually hitting herself. Like, whatever it is, it's like, it's like, I have all of the accoutrement for kinky and BDSM kind of things, but I shit you not, I've pulled them out. I've pulled out like 1 or 2 items, maybe once or twice in the past 6 months that I have not been working on Kink Live. And it's actually really depressing because you put a lot of money and effort and knowledge into understanding what you have and how to use it. And when you don't have the clientele, it's like, oh, well, I'm really glad I wasted that $600 on all of that awesome stuff that I actually enjoy using in my free time. But now I can't use it on cam because you motherfuckers don't appreciate it. So, knowing where Kink Live is going, you guys, where do you see yourself going as this is happening? Are you going to go to Flirt for Free? Are you going to go elsewhere? Where do you see yourself going, Lacey?
I personally think that I'll probably work 50% on Flirt for Free and 50% on another site that I feel is safer. I'll probably end up going back to My Free Cams, even though, the payout is difficult and the people on the website are way more difficult to deal with than they are on Kink Live. I feel like my following will come with me to My Free Cams, just because if I explain the situation to them, a lot of the people that I have as regulars, I have really close, intimate, personal relationships with, and that's where a lot of my income stems from, because it's not just offering like a sexual service, it's also offering a friendship and sometimes even counselor. You fill a lot of roles as a cam model. So I think I'll end up going back to My Free Cams for part of the time, and I'll try Flirt for Free just because I don't want to completely believe that the fetish community is dead. I don't want to believe that Kink Live would abandon me that way just because of how much I've put into the website and how much I sacrificed for them. So yeah, I think that's probably what I'm going to try to do. If it doesn't work out, then I'll just go full time back to My Free Cams and see how it goes.
Shay, what do you think? You gonna stick with the flirt for free, or are you gonna just completely stray? Like, what's your opinion on that?
I'm definitely going to give Flirt for Free a chance. I'm going to probably go balls to the wall for a couple of weeks and see what I can do, just because they're probably going to get an influx of people in the very beginning. So even if it's just for a few weeks while the influx comes in, I do enjoy Chatterbait quite a bit. I absolutely love Streammate for the money. But Streammate is very difficult on my body. It's just constant private after private after private, and I can't work as long. Payouts are just, it's 30% and it's killer. So I'm probably going to dabble around with that, and we'll see. It's going to be a touch and go.
I have one question for you. Did you go on Streammate because of the Kink Live initial kind of fake and go transition, or were you already thinking about going there before they sent that email?
I was on Streammate a couple of months before they sent that email. I do really well over there, and I would suggest any BBW model to check them out because they have a shit ton of girls, but if you go under the BBW section, generally there's 50 or less that are on, and so you get a lot of traffic that way, but nobody really wants to sit and talk. It's not like Chatterbait or Kink. It's not, you don't fulfill that role of counselor or whatever.
It's not fun. So really quick, we're just gonna hit on, basic platform review. We've never really done this before, but we kind of want to talk about our feelings about cam sites we really enjoy. And Kink was home to the three of us. I personally believe Kink was a really great website. I had a wonderful, wonderful time on that website. I'm really sad it's going the way of the dodo. I had a lot of wonderful people who came, enjoyed me, enjoyed the things I was into, no matter what it was, and I'm gonna miss it dearly. Lacey, just Kink. Just what are you gonna miss most about Kink?
I think, you know what? The varied experience with customers. That's why I became a cam model in the first place, so that I could learn more about people and their sexuality. That was the entire reason why I started doing what I was doing. And every single day is something different. It's never been monotonous on Kink Live. I have, in the last week, even alone, I sang the Trollololo song while riding on an exercise bike, full naked. I did a surrealist interpretist dance while wearing a Russian hat, and it's just amazing. You never know what somebody is going to be into or what somebody is going to want to pay you for in order to be sexually enticed and entertained at the same time. And I don't feel like I'm going to find that on any other website that I work for. It's a truly unique experience. You never know what you're going to get with Kink Live, and that's what made it exciting and what I hope will carry on.
Kink Live really is a potpourri that will never be replicated. Shay, what are you going to miss most about Kink Live?
I really like catering to strange fetishes. And I've hit on this before, whether it's something that maybe somebody has made fun of them for or something that they've not been able to explore. My favorite thing about being a cam model is being that safe place where someone can say, can you do this? And I'm like, yes, I can. And even though I may not be sexually turned on by it, knowing that I am making somebody happy and helping them explore their sexuality, whereas, you're not going to get that on a vanilla site because they're going to be too scared or maybe they've had bad experiences. I'm really, really going to miss those very strange, very quirky fetishes because I really, really knew that I was making somebody happy.
And so I'm going to segue, because we're doing a little platform review right now, I'm going to segue into Chatterbait. This is one thing that, I love Chatterbait. I love the diversity of the people. I love being able to talk to everybody and the fact that they actually have screen names and can interact and you can get them to be real members of the website. But that's the one downside of Chatterbait is when you go private with somebody, anybody can watch it. And so their secret fetish isn't really their secret fetish. And so, Lacey, I know know you didn't spend a whole lot of time on ChatterBait. What did you feel like was the something that was positive, and what did you feel like something that was negative about ChatterBait?
I really feel like the applications that ChatterBait's used, so, you know, like their Kino programs and all of that wonderful stuff, they have a really great interface that people can modify, and you can base your shows around that. So as opposed to having to get a bunch of supplies, post-it notes, boards, wheels, whatever, in order to supply your room with games and entertainment, you can just do that with the program that they already have installed on ChatterBait, which is really great. I think that that's wonderful. For me personally, though, coming from websites where I make up those games, where I do that myself, it was really difficult to understand the interface. So it takes a little while. I think if I really wanted to get into ChatterBait, I'd have to spend at least a week or two fully submerging myself.
So Shay, ChatterBait, pros and cons.
I love that it is chat or bait. And a lot of people go there to just chat. I love tips, obviously. Making money is very important. But there are so many members that maybe don't have money or can't afford it. But you can just sit and have great conversations with people. I really, really love that about ChatterBait. And it could be all kinds of things. I love the apps and bots. You can actually create your own, which is phenomenal.
If you're a smarty pants like Shay is.
But then it's a two-sided coin. At the same time, you get the bad grays. There are good grays and bad grays. Grays, if you don't know what grays are people that have not paid money to the website, have not bought tokens, and etc. Sometimes you can get some really good conversations out of those grays. Sometimes they're just complete and total assholes. I would say that would probably be the negative. Also, the negative is the double standard as far as who ChatterBait wants to, and we have talked about in previous podcasts, who ChatterBait wants to ban and who they don't.
Agreed. So last one we're going to hit on is My Free Cams. And I literally only used My Free Cams for maybe a week. And I had my own issues with My Free Cams. There were some nice people. There was mostly bad people. The cam scores, this was back in the day. Okay, this was like 2 fucking years ago when it was... Yeah, I know, right? Fucking 2 whole years ago. I tried my hardest, but it's just I couldn't get the hang of it. It wasn't my speed. But Lacey, you really love My Free Cams, so what would you say is the best and the worst?
You know what? I think that one of the great advantages of My Free Cams is they have this wonderful place called The Lounge, and members go there and promote the shit out of you. If you are doing something interesting inside of your chat room, they will post you in the lounge saying, this girl is wearing a moose mask on her face, and you will get thousands of members inside of your room, and they will watch you with a moose mask on your face. If you have a realm for creativity, if you are energetic, then you can make a lot of money on that website, and you can make a lot of money on that website not just fucking yourself, but by being an individual, by being a person.
I want to ask you a question, actually, because this is a real question, because I am a huge cosplay person, and I never cosplayed on My Free Cams. Would you say...
You would do very well cosplaying on My Free Cams. There is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful cam model that works on My Free Cams. She was recently in the top 20 last time I checked, and every single day for Halloween, just like you said before, she does a different cosplay. She also records exclusive videos and photo content that she will release on the days that she does those cosplays. She makes a killing. She has a really great time on the website. We've had a lot of really wonderful dialogues. I think she's one of my friends. I'd at least like to say so, because I cosplay occasionally and I'm part of the nerd community. So it's more nerd based. It's not fetish based. There's a lot of vanilla stuff, but you know what? You do get the odd fetish-based private session, and that kind of makes it worth it. So that's why I'm thinking I might return back there, because the other thing is, too, after leaving for a year, I still log on once every couple of months, and I have members saying, hey, I remember you, you're amazing, let's have some fun. So it's not all bad. You can get lost in a sea of people, but if you do it right, you can really make a name for yourself on that website.
So Shay, have you ever used My Free Cams?
I have.
And so what is your best and worst with My Free Cams, would you say?
I was originally, this go around, I've cammed on and off since I was 19, but this go around that I've been a cam model, I started on My Free Cams. The cam scores always make me feel terrible about myself. But as Lacey had said earlier, that you can actually get rid of those so you don't see them, but you kind of still are in the same placement. I tended to get a whole lot of trolls on my free cams, and I'm not really for sure why, but I seem to get more.
I know why that is. I do know why that is, because my free cams is synonymous with 4chan, and 4chan sometimes makes a point of picking out girls on the website. They like making models cry, pretty much. That's the thing. They want to upset a girl, and they single her out. And they have things that they call raids that I used to have happen to me regularly on my free cams. And it's all a matter of how you deal with it. If you respond to it and you're emotional in any way, shape, or form, then they're going to keep coming back. If not, then it's easy sailing. You're good. If you're just like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Thanks. Okay, bye. If they don't get anything out of you that they can post on the forums, that they can post on the boards, you're golden. So they'll end up leaving you alone eventually.
And I was new that go around with my free cams, and that was probably the issue. The one thing that I don't like about my free cams is I miss the apps and bots. I think that their interface is really basic, which is good and bad. There's not a whole lot to learn, but then there's not a whole lot to play with.
Definitely two sides of the coin with that. I agree, because it's definitely like, they don't have to fuck with anything, but there's nothing to play with. I've tried to turn other girls onto Chatterbait, and they're like, I am so overwhelmed, I so don't know what to do, and I know I was the same way on Chatterbait, and I was lucky enough to have people help me and walk me through it, so I completely understand on that front. Let's talk about fucking StreamMate for a minute here, because I got onto StreamMate. I actually had cammed on StreamMate briefly before. Didn't have a whole lot of success. It wasn't bad. The problem with StreamMate I had really was you're automatically synced into this really low pay grade when you first start, and you have to build up the hours to get out of it to really make your own pricing. But then once you get your way out of the pricing, nobody wants to hang out with you anymore, and then there's no room to ban or silence that's really effective, which is really frustrating for me personally. It was nice to have the viewership, but it's a very weird website, and I for me, it was very hard to deal with. Just I feel like it didn't really cater to my needs. Lacey, have you ever used StreamMate or no?
I used StreamMate for a week. I used StreamMate because the lady that I like to call my mentor, Alex Lady, she transitioned from MFC over to StreamMate when she was having a really rough time, and she is fucking successful on that website. Holy cannoli. She loves it. StreamMate is her home. She's made a name for herself there, and that is amazing. But I tried it. I had a really difficult time because in order to get the 5-star rating, you need to have a direct hookup to your computer so that you have the fastest internet speeds possible. And for me as a Mac user, I love my Mac, and I don't want to have to spend another $1,500 on a decent computer. There is no adapter to have that.
Ethernet?
Ethernet. I was going to say FireWire, but Ethernet cable. You can't have the Ethernet cable directly in your computer unless you have another special component. It's very complicated. When I did use the website, I only ended up having one private session with somebody who was a regular on MFC, and I made $80 from it when I could have made $120. So I kind of said to myself, you know what? This website's way more complicated than I feel like it's worth. I don't know that I'm going to want to work here, but, you know, options remain open at this point in time. I'm thinking that I might give each website a little bit of a go to see where home might be.
So Shay, StreamMate, what do you, pros and cons? I know you love it on a certain level because you do tend to talk about it very often, and you're one of the lucky ones. You actually have a good time on StreamMate. Like I've never been in and out of privates on that website, so I don't actually know what that's like. What are your pros and cons?
I absolutely love StreamMate. It did take a while to get out of that segment, but once I was out of that little trial period that they give you, and I was able to broadcast in HD because I do have a PC and everything, it was absolutely wonderful. The cons definitely are, there's really not a whole lot of chat going on. It's, hey, do you do this? Absolutely, bam, private. And then people are waiting for you to get out. They're like, oh, will you do this? Absolutely, bam, private. And I thought that was great. It kind of, because there were so many privates, it kind of made up for the 30% in my book. But it was really, really hard on my body to just constantly do privates over and over and over and over again, because most of the time it was the same thing. A big con is their customer service. It is horrendous. I was actually asked to create a website through them to host different, where you update it weekly. You have so many blog posts, you post so many videos, and people subscribe to that.
And that was the Gold Club, correct?
The Gold Club, yes. I was asked to do that, and I was very, very excited about it. For whatever reason, I could never seem to get my videos to work. When I did originally sign up for the site, I tried to sign up as Shay BBW, which is what I generally use. But they said somebody had already used that, which, if you're listening, get the fuck off. That's my name. So I had to sign up as Shay SSBBW. Well, all of my videos that I have a little logo over them that says Shay BBW. Well, whenever I went to go upload them, after 2 weeks of talking to support and finally getting a video to be able to upload, they refused to have it uploaded because it was not Shay SSBBW. So I was going to have to start all over with my videos, and I'm just like, fuck that, I'm not going to do it. The other thing that is really cool is they now have a TV stream. So people that are in hotels and whatnot that want to watch dirty movies or dirty streams or whatever, they can...
I love how you call them dirty movies, you slut.
Pornographic movies.
Adult entertainment, god damn it.
Those naked talkies.
Not dirty in a bad way. Adult entertainment. They have it now so that they can ask you to perform a show, whether it's X, XX, or XXX. And people will subscribe to that and actually watch your live feed. It kind of takes you into a sort of private. And I think that would be really fun. I've just not been on lately, but I do look forward to doing one of those.
That is awesome. Anybody have a random website they use like one time, or maybe they used to love it, they don't love it anymore? Because I know mine personally is Live Jasmine. Live Jasmine was my home, essentially. I used to make a killing on that website. I had people who loved me. People followed me from there. It was great. But they implemented certain things with their video quality and their audio quality that unfortunately turned me off, because I'm not going to buy a $600 JVC cam to make my stream on. But I did love that website. That was my home. And I feel like there's a lot of pros and cons to that website. I don't even want to go into it, but I miss Live Jasmine to a certain extent. Lacey, do you have like a random, like kind of like you loved it but you don't love it anymore?
Skin Video or X Video. They were two websites that I signed up for. Skin Video was great. They had an awesome payout. They were actually a lot like Kink Live. And again, my mentor, Alex Lady, she turned me onto that website. It was really cool. It kind of had the same appeal for me as Kink Live had initially, because I can just hang out and there was no cam score. And I really loved that, because the pressure with MFC, I could only ever work for 3 hours because of the cam score. She introduced me to Skin Video and X Video, and there was none of that. So that was really cool, but they both ended up shutting down. They're one of those cam websites that someone decided to start, and then it just didn't quite finish.
That makes sense. Shay, do you have any kind of like random...
Yeah, whenever I very first started when I was 19 and I was just a fresh new little cam girl, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anything. I was one of those chicks that thought, oh, I'll get on cam, I'll get naked and make tons of money. You know, I hadn't researched it. I didn't know anything about it. And I was originally on all BBW cams. They are horrendous. You make no money. Now they've implemented that if you're on X amount of hours per week or per pay period, they give you a bonus. And that should really speak to how bad it is. If you're on for like 60 hours a week, you get like an extra $20 or so. So, I mean, it was just horrendous. The payouts are like 25%, and there's like no traffic there and no privates, and it's just bad.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and just sign off with that. It was horrible. We hated it, and fuck it all. I want to remind all of you, we are still continuing the quest for questions. So if anybody has any questions for Lacey or maybe Shay or myself or any of the other wonderful people that we feature on our podcast, we'd love to hear your questions or questions in general about the cam life, anything that we do, or random shit that occurs in our cam world. We would really appreciate your questions. Send them to CamGirlRealWorld.com or CamGirlRealWorld@gmail.com. Also, there's a contact form on our website. We really appreciate you guys listening to our podcast and joining us this evening. We hope you will join us again in the future. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.